Hey, what's up, everybody? My name is Tom. Thanks for tuning in to the Slant episode 4. We disappeared for a little while, thought about what are some of my goals and what I find joy in, and I really like talking sports when I get the chance. So I'm going to try to continue on. I really want to shoot for one video a week. So thanks for tuning back into the Slant. Today, we have a few things to cover. The first being Super Bowl recap, even though it is now a few weeks past. Today is March 1st. Some things to pick apart about the Super Bowl and my thoughts. I'm obviously a 49ers fan, and leaving some of my biases aside, the Chiefs played well that game from what I could see, and Patrick Mahomes is just a generational talent. He's on pace to break all of Tom Brady's records. In fact, he's already got more Super Bowl victories out of the gate than Tom Brady, like for his age, neck and neck. That being said, the 49ers are facing some crucial issues, being one, their head coach, and two, who are they going to be able to keep at the positions they have filled currently? I want to start with Kyle Shanahan. Kyle Shanahan is a good coach, but he has some flaws. And his flaws are being that he chokes in big game situations. And the reason it's Kyle Shanahan at this point is because he's had multiple opportunities in big games to prove that it wasn't him. And you can only place the blame on people for so long. I mean, Shanahan tried to blame Garoppolo for the Super Bowl loss against the Chiefs in 2020. The 2019-2020 season. He also he didn't take really any heat for the Atlanta Falcons loss to the Patriots when they were up 28-3 at halftime, and then their offense sputtered and they didn't score a single point the rest of the Super Bowl in the second half. And Kyle Shanahan was the offensive coordinator for that. So if we go back in the history books, one, he had Matt Ryan, who was having an MVP season. Matt Ryan, MVP season, MVP quarterback, puts up 28 points, and it's 28-3, Falcons over the Patriots in the Super Bowl. And Tom Brady leads the famous comeback, and they end up beating the Falcons, and the Falcons never scored another point after the first two quarters. That being said, that was Shanahan's first, and he's just the OC. You can blame the head coach, you can try to blame the quarterback, whatever. Cool, fine. Kyle Shanahan's still a good coach. The second thing that was brought to my attention is when he blames Jimmy Garoppolo for overthrowing Emmanuel Sanders by like 2 or 3 yards. That would have been a touchdown that could have sealed the Super Bowl. However, the 49ers were up 20-10 at one point, and that lead was blown. So they blew a 10-point lead against the Chiefs. It was Patrick Mahomes. Oh well, maybe next year. Then we play the Rams in the NFC Championship game. I want to say it was 2 years ago. And in that game, Jaquiski Tart drops a pick, and we end up to seal the deal, and we end up losing that game, and the Rams go on to play in the Super Bowl, and it was just it wasn't exactly what we had set out for as a team, obviously, as the Niners organization, and they placed the blame on, let me take a guess, Jimmy Garoppolo again. So they blamed Jimmy Garoppolo twice for two big losses in big games. Okay, fine. Go ahead, Shanahan. Go ahead. Place the blame on him. Try to hide. Well, flash forward to now, and the Niners lost in the NFC Championship last year to the Eagles when Brock Purdy got hurt. Shanahan had another little excuse. So Shanahan has made up 4 excuses for reasons why he couldn't close the deal and win the Super Bowl. Well, now everything points to the Niners should win the Super Bowl this year. They're healthy. They have everybody they need. On paper, they're the better team. And Shanahan blows, let me guess, another 10-point lead. Another 10-point lead down the drain, and the Chiefs defeat the Niners. Don't get me wrong, Patrick Mahomes, possibly going to be the greatest quarterback of all time. And that's hard to beat, but who is he going to point the finger at now? Well, he fires the defensive coordinator and says we're going a different direction and tries to pretend like, I'm I'm Mr. Nice Guy and he's a great defensive coordinator. We're just going a different direction. Wrong. I see right through that. Shanahan's just trying to once again place the blame on somebody other than himself. Honestly, at this point, I'm tired of Shanahan. I'm tired of winning football games that essentially go nowhere and lead to nowhere. I had a bad feeling during the Super Bowl, which I had to work, that we weren't going to win. And my prediction turned out right. And that's okay. But at this point, if the 49ers want to move on, they're going to have to stock up on a lot of stocky offensive linemen, big D linemen again. They got to keep a great pass rush going. They got to be good in the trenches if they want to continue to have success. And I don't see Shanahan winning a Super Bowl for us anytime soon. And maybe this video will be a clip 2 years from now and they won a Super Bowl and I look stupid, but I just don't see it happening for the San Francisco 49ers. And that's my football talk for the day. Today is March 1st, so we have March Madness coming up, which will be exciting. We'll get more into that maybe in our next show. But what I really want to touch on is spring training. So spring tings are back, and it's spring training again. So there's some familiar faces, but on different teams now. And I want to start with Shohei Ohtani now being a Dodger. Feels weird, but I mean, the Dodgers are always willing to spend money. And honestly, at this point, the Dodgers are kind of like the 49ers, where, I mean, they did win the championship in 2020, or the World Series, but at this point, it's kind of like win or bust for the Dodgers now. They spend all their money every single year, which respect to them for doing it, because that's how you can win championships, is by spending money and getting good players. But the Dodgers are spending all their money, and like at this point, you have Shohei Ohtani, arguably the best player in baseball, maybe the best ever at some point. And you got a roster full of star-studded players, kind of like the Yankees. The Yankees and the Dodgers are always the two teams that spend the most money, it seems like, year in and year out. And it shows, like the Yankees have 27 World Series rings. So the Yankees and Dodgers should both have good seasons. I mean, Juan Soto now is on the Yankees too. They paid big bucks for him. So typical, Yankees and Dodgers are going to be the talk. You still have the Rangers, who are the defending World Series champions, which good for them. Bruce Bochy is amazing. That guy will be in the Hall of Fame. 3 World Series rings as a Giants manager, and now 1 with the Rangers for the 2023 season. And he won 3 with the Giants 2010, 2012, and 2014, and also took the Giants to the playoffs in 2016, where we had an exit via the Chicago Cubs, I believe. So that being said, you got Shohei on the Dodgers, you got Soto on the Yankees. But now, the most interesting one to me, and probably to Bay Area sports fans, is Brandon Crawford. Now, Brandon Crawford spent 13 seasons with the San Francisco Giants. He's now 37 years old, and there's still baseball left in him. It's not like he had a bad, terrible year last year by any means. But the Giants wanted to go in a different direction and didn't want him back, which is shocking to me, because Brandon Crawford is a household name with the Giants. He's one of those guys that you keep around until he retires, in my opinion, but we decided that nope, that was not in our best interest, and the best we could give him is a spot to walk on and hopefully make the last cut for the last position on the team, which is just ridiculous. He's done so much for the franchise. Why are we treating him this way? Well, he's off to wear red for the St. Louis Cardinals, and he will be backing up their rookie shortstop. His last name is Wynn, I believe. I can double check, but he's going to be the backup for the St. Louis Cardinals at the shortstop position, and hopefully he'll mentor the rookie sensation for them. Looking that up right now. Mason Wynn, round 2 overall pick, 54 in 2020. He is 22 years old, and he's been called up He's expected to be the starting shortstop opening day, and I'm looking at some of his stats here. Bear with me. He got called up after hitting 288 with 18 home runs, 61 RBIs, and 17 stolen bases this past season with the AAA Memphis team, which is the affiliate for the St. Louis Cardinals. So good for Mason Wynn. Happy for Brandon Crawford. He has a 1-year deal to play out with the St. Louis Cardinals, and I'm assuming this is going to be his last year. It seems like it's kind of the end of the road for him, which is unfortunate, but he had a great MLB career. So I'm excited to see what he should be able to do with the Cardinals. And if I had to predict the teams that I believe are going to have the best year, I feel like I've already talked about them. It's going to be like the Rangers. The Astros will be right back there. The Yankees have a chance. Depends on their pitching. And the Dodgers. Sleeper-wise, it'll seem biased, obviously. But San Francisco Giants, I think looking at their roster, to me, and when I say no names, I don't mean it in a negative way. They just have a lot of new people who, based off looking at them, they seem kind of like, they remind me of the 2010, 2012 San Francisco Giants vibes, where they're kind of quirky and odd. And I think that's a good thing. I think maybe they can build some team chemistry around that. And when the Giants won, it wasn't like they were full of star-studded players. You look back now because of their careers and say they're star-studded, but at the time they weren't necessarily star-studded players, and they just all had really good careers, but they had great chemistry. And that's how you win championships in baseball. Like, you have to have good chemistry even if you buy your players, and that's part of the problem the Dodgers have had, I think, is not having that team chemistry when they've bought their players. But I think that's about to turn around now that they have Shohei. Everybody loves Shohei. I have a feeling the Dodgers have a great chance at the World Series this year, and it pains me to say that, but Dodgers fans should be excited for this season. I think it's going to be a good season for them. I'm excited for the Giants just because they got Bob Melvin as their manager now. Bob Melvin used to catch for the Giants back in the day, and I think Bob Melvin will be a great manager for the Giants. Not holding my breath that they have like an amazing season win-wise, but who knows? Maybe they'll surprise us. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then since we're kind of doing local news, I'll touch on the Sacramento Kings. So Sacramento Kings actually won their game today against the Timberwolves, 124-120. The Timberwolves, I believe, are first place in the West, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to double check that. West. Bear with me. Yep, Timberwolves are first in the West currently at 42 and 17. Followed closely by the Thunder, who are 41 and 18, one game back. The Kings are in 7th right now, 8.5 games out of first, with a record of 33 and 25. So should be interesting. I haven't watched the Kings too much this year, just based off schedule and time. I haven't had a ton of time, but hopefully they make the playoffs as they should, and maybe they can make a deep run. All you got to do is get into the playoffs. For me, the biggest discrepancy between playoffs and the major sports, you got like the MLB, the NHL, NFL, NBA, and the NBA's playoffs to me are the weirdest in a sense because it seems like everybody turns it on up a notch, and that's for the playoffs in general. But for football, it's like a 17-game regular season, so every game matters. So the playoff football is like every playoffs for all major sports is a level up, or like a notch up. But I feel like you see the biggest discrepancy in basketball because it seems like you got these star players taking nights off and resting, and it's an 82-game season. Next thing you know, nobody really cares exactly. I mean, seeding kind of matters, but they're just taking games off. They're not playing hard defense all the time, which is sometimes why it's hard for me to watch, because it's just like they're running up the court, they're shooting the ball, they're running back down the court, they're shooting the ball, and nobody's like locked in unless it really matters to them that night. It seems like it's kind of like an aspect of laziness, in my opinion. But when you hit playoff basketball, every shot matters, every possession matters, every chance to defend matters. So they step it up a notch. So the playoffs are super fun to watch. We'll see what happens for the Kings, and I'll be following that. As for the San Jose Sharks, I went to a Sharks game Tuesday night this week, and man, they are not good, which is really unfortunate because I remember, I think it was 2016 was the last pretty solid season they had. I will say I had a great time at the Sharks game. If you want to just have fun, go to a hockey game. It's entertaining. The fan base is pretty solid. I didn't really, sometimes you go to games and you run into, people who are drunk or people who are just making bad decisions there. It seemed like a very family-friendly environment to me at the San Jose Sharks game. It wasn't that crowded because it was a Tuesday night, obviously, and there wasn't too much going on with them not being the greatest. So, but I highly recommend get to an NHL game, get to your local NHL game. That was a good time. I had a good experience, and it was my second Sharks game, but like going and watching in person. But it was a good experience. Like I said, I had a good time. So, hockey playoffs are coming up here soon too, or it's kind of turning the corner towards the playoffs. So it'll be interesting to see what teams get in. Hockey's another one where it's like once the playoffs come around, the hockey playoffs are super fun to watch, and everybody gets really, really into it. So I'll definitely be keeping my eyes on that. That's all I have for tonight. I appreciate you tuning in to the 4th episode of The Slant. Our goal is to do one a week. If you liked it, please share it with a friend, subscribe to our channel. We really appreciate it. Like I said, this is just fun for me. I enjoy talking sports. I would like to have somebody here with me to talk with me. Working on that and seeing what I can do about that. But other than that, appreciate you for tuning in to The Slant. Tell your friends about it and have a good night. Thanks.